Hello and welcome to the Stylish Wellness Podcast. I'm Sarah Banks, your guide to mastering personal style and authority. I've built a successful couture business designing handmade wedding dresses and bespoke occasion wear for women who value elegance and individuality. Now I bring that expertise to help ambitious women like you step into your confidence, express your unique style and make an impact, starting with the clothes you wear. If you're ready to elevate your wardrobe, your mindset and your presence, you're in the right place. Let's create a life and a style that truly reflects the remarkable woman you are. Hello, amazing women. So this week on the podcast, I want to talk to you about a concept which you may be familiar with. And the question that I want to start with is this. Do you share your clothes with other women? So do other women give you clothes? And do you give your clothes to other women? I know it's a fairly common concept. And that's how I got the title for this week's podcast, because quite often we'll have something in our wardrobes that we decide that we're not going to wear any longer. And what we say to our friends is, would you like this? And it's such an invitation, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you think, ooh, what's that? And your curiosity is piqued. And on the other hand, there might be slight dread where you're thinking, what happens if I don't like it? And how am I going to say no? So that's how the idea for this week's podcast came about, because I had a would you like this moment myself. So just to recap a little bit, many of us have been in that situation. In fact, probably most of us have probably been there, where a friend or a relative or a colleague says, oh, would you like this? And by this, they mean this garment or pair of shoes or accessory or whatever. And also maybe we've done the same thing, made the offer ourselves. Oh, I'm getting rid of some clothes. Would you like this? And when you've had that offer made to you, what do you say? Do you have a hard and fast rule that you never take cast-offs on? Do you have a rule, conscious or unconscious, that never tries to hurt someone's feelings? So you say yes to everything that comes your way and then find a home for it. And how do you feel when you are in possession of a given item? Something that I am very aware of is like a transference of responsibility. Perhaps someone has bought something and it wasn't quite right for them. The colour wasn't quite right, or the design didn't suit them. And then they have this great idea that they'll give it to you. Giving it to you could potentially absolve them of any guilt associated with the purchase. They haven't thrown it away, so it's not wasted. And they haven't had to make an effort to give it to a charity or goodwill shop. They've given it to you. So then you're left with it and you have to deal with it. So if you like it, well, amazing. But if you don't and you've accepted it, then now you'll have to find a home for it because, well, you don't want to throw it away, do you? So that's the transference of responsibility. And I've always been quite conscious of that people will just put together a bag of clothes and just think, oh, I'll give it to the next friend that I see and just say to them, would you like this? But it's sort of like a poisoned chalice in a way. I don't mean to be mean about my friends or about your friends, but it is a bit like a poisoned chalice, because the thing is, you don't know from where this idea of giving you the clothing comes from. Does it come from the nicest of motives, or does it come from actually they feel a bit guilty because they spent quite a lot on that jacket, but if they give it to you they'll feel better about it? But the fact of the matter is that jacket was never going to be a nice jacket because it's a really tricky raspberry colour that they probably got wrong in the factory, and now women all over the world feel the same because that raspberry colour just isn't quite right and it's never going to suit anybody. And so someone somewhere is left with this jacket. That's the transference of responsibility. And from a people-pleasing perspective, if you're a people-pleaser, this is even harder to say no, because you want to give people an easy life. You want an easy life for everybody. That's partly what people pleasing is about. So you just hear yourself saying, oh, how thoughtful, thank you. Whereas actually it might not have been that thoughtful of your friend. It might just be transference of responsibility. And I've also taken clothes from people where they say things like, oh, well, just get rid of anything you don't want. That's absolutely fine. I won't mind. Whereas actually they should have taken responsibility for that in the first place themselves, especially if the clothes are a little bit substandard, which occasionally they can be. Although having said that, mostly when people give me anything, knowing that I am about all things style oriented, they are giving me really nice clothes, and we'll come on to this shortly, but I have just been given some really, really lovely clothes, and that's how this podcast came about. And aside from our friends who are involved in the process of transference of responsibility, whether they're aware of it or not, on the other hand, you may know someone who buys clothes frequently, does a regular audit of what she has in her wardrobe, weeds items out on a regular basis, and then she sends them your way, and they're in beautiful condition. The style is up to date. They are your size. And hey presto, as if by magic, your clothes collection has had a style update. And how nice are those clothes in your wardrobe? However, something that I've noticed is that accepting clothes from friends, no matter how good the quality or up to date the style, can take you away from your own style. Deciding how you want to look is a very personal choice, and discovering your unique style or style blueprint often happens after a long period of not quite getting it right, of hit and miss. And you shouldn't allow clothes into your wardrobe just because they fit you and someone has given them to you. Because the thing is that getting to our own personal style can sometimes take years, decades. So you don't want some random clothes to come along into your wardrobe to upset that. Because the thing is, once clothes are in our wardrobe, then either we wear them or we don't wear them, right? And if you don't wear them, then they're taking up valuable space for something else that you could be wearing. And if you do wear them, then unless you really, really love them, you shouldn't be wearing them. And you're deviating away from what you should be wearing in life. And you can only really wear a certain number of outfits every day. I mean, I love the idea of getting changed during the day, but for many women now, we get up and the clothes that we wear are predominantly that outfit that we're going to wear all day kind of thing. So we really shouldn't be wasting our days with wearing clothes that just aren't the best for us, because there are only 365 days in a year. There are only so many clothes that you can actually wear. So it shouldn't be something that's for you second rate, that might be for someone else first rate, but you shouldn't be wearing clothes that are for you second rate. And of course, that's the danger of that innocent little phrase. Would you like this? This reminds me of something I've talked about on one of the other podcast episodes, which is this idea of curating your wardrobe. If you think about your clothes collection, your closet or your wardrobe as like an art gallery, a lovely light space waiting to be filled with works of art hung or displayed so as to show them off to their best advantage, and also to show the work next door to them off to their best advantage. And it takes time to create an art gallery exhibition, time and consideration. Just as it takes time and consideration to create an art exhibition, it takes time and consideration to build your wardrobe. Actually, don't necessarily want or need to introduce items to your wardrobe if they don't meet the stricter criteria, which you would automatically apply to your own clothes as if you were curating them for an art gallery. So, for a long time, I've been suspicious of people asking me, "Would you like this?" in such an innocent fashion. But then, just recently, I had the experience of being offered some unworn, labels still on clothes, quite a few of them. They ranged from full-length evening gowns with long sleeves and plunging necklines to summer dresses in blue floral cotton with fitted bodice and full skirt, to oatmeal linen wide leg trousers, to a black winter coat with like astrakhan fur collar and cuffs. It was a lot of clothes and bags and cashmere scarves. And I was like a child in a dress shop. It's been such good fun trying on different styles, shapes and colours. When accepting the clothes, I did apply some criteria. They had to be in my size, and also I only took colours that I knew I'd wear and that I love. So I have cautiously changed my mind on being offered these new clothes because it's given me the opportunity to try on a new me. How do I feel wearing this dress? Would I like to wear it again? I don't think I'll keep everything, but I'm enjoying this sense of play that has come with trying on new clothes in styles and shapes that are really enjoyable to wear, but some of which are quite new to me. So, when was the last time someone said, "Would you like this?" to you? And what did you say? What was the item like? I had become very good at saying no thank you to people, regardless of what the item was. I just didn't want to wear something that I hadn't initially chosen for myself. I felt that my identity would somehow be diluted, or that there would be a cognitive dissonance between how I was feeling in my head and what I was wearing, because it was something that I hadn't originally chosen for myself. I have always hated that feeling of wearing the wrong clothes, trousers that are too heavy, jumpers that are shapeless, skirts that make me look frumpy and dull, anything that drowns me. So this episode of being given the clothes and me enjoying trying them on and me experiencing the feeling of wearing those clothes has been revelatory. I'm actually looking for a new style for myself, which I might have mentioned in one of the most recent podcasts, and I have been for a little while. So some of the clothes lean towards this new style I'm creating for myself, and that has been and is a really enjoyable process, seeing myself look really different in the clothes style that I'm wearing. So one of the dresses is like a sort of camely beige cotton wraparound dress. It's quite a structured fabric, but I'm definitely moving towards wearing more wraparound dresses, and I've been wearing them up until now in sort of jersey fabric, silk jersey and cotton jersey, and this is a more crisp style to wear, and I tried it on and I really like it, and then I'm going to try it on and wear it for a day and just see how I feel in it. And then there's another dress that is a wraparound dress that has got quite a lot of shape cut into the skirt. It's quite an interesting pattern, the way it's been cut, and it's in red. The colour is red. It's this beautiful sort of red cotton mixed fabric, and I do really like red, but I don't wear it as an everyday dress colour. So this is going to be quite challenging for me to wear, and I'm going to have to really work out how I want to feel and look when I'm wearing this dress, because it's quite a departure for me. But it's not necessarily that it's a bad departure. It's just that I'm not used to wearing that colour and that style during the day. So it met my criteria of colour because I do like red, and it met my style criteria because I do like wraparound dresses, and it was also in the right size for me. But the combination of what it is a little bit challenging. So someone saying, "Would you like this?" may actually be an invitation to you to change your style, to think about yourself in a different light. With that idea in mind, I would not suggest you accept clothes that you would consider to be dull. Dull is most probably not going to take you to your next style persona. It's not going to inspire you to really create yourself in a new way which is deeply pleasing to your heart. However, when someone says, "Would you like this?" and for 1 nanosecond you're not sure, not because it's boring, but because it's very different from what you would normally wear, well, I might be inclined to accept that, because sometimes that idea or object or piece of clothing that scares us is actually something that we want, but we're scared to have it or scared to step up into it. There is that wonderful quote, I think by Marianne Wilson, is it? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. So maybe, just maybe, that invitation of, would you like this, is an invitation to step into our light, to step out of inadequacy and into power. That's a wonderful thought, isn't it? All from being given some clothes. One of the dresses, in fact two I think of the dresses that I have received, are from a small niche brand in the UK. I love their clothes. They use fair trade, where possible, organic materials and production methods. I wasn't sure that their style of clothing altogether suited me, so I have not bought anything from them up until now. Their clothes are shaped, which is great for me, but they're quite roomy, and I tend to wear quite fitted clothes on the whole. So having these two dresses with quite roomy skirt sections is a novelty for me. I'm not sure how I really feel in them. On the one hand, I really love them because they feel really freeing. There's a sort of sense of liberty about the dresses. And I love the individual items themselves and how they've been put together and the very individual way that they treat the clothing. But do I really want to spend a whole day in my life in a roomy dress? I'm not so sure. We'll see. I'm giving myself the next few months and then I'll make a decision. Because I've got quite a few new clothes from this one friend. And I think I need to have a cut-off time where I either accept new clothes into my wardrobe and into my life, or conversely decide that they are not for me and move them on to pastures new. So these are all new and beautiful clothes that I wouldn't hesitate to offer to someone else. I don't feel as though I'm transferring responsibility in any way if I move these clothes on. So if you have answered the call of, would you like this, with a yes, then consider giving yourself a cut-off date after which you have to decide whether the clothes stay or go. But don't just leave them in your wardrobe with no definite decision made, because as I've mentioned just before, you either wear the clothes in your wardrobe or you don't wear the clothes in your wardrobe. So if you haven't actually decided whether you want to keep them or not, the chances are you're not going to be wearing them, because if you wear them, that's already pretty much you're on your way to a yes if you haven't already decided yes. And if you're not making a decision, then they're sitting in your wardrobe and you've already sort of decided no, like you're veering towards a no on that. So that's definitely one watch out for accepting these kind of gifts from friends. And then I just want to talk about a couple of other concepts around this idea of being given clothes from friends or well-meaning relatives or colleagues. And the first one is the psychology of free. So the thing about being given things free is we're actually less likely to value them. We actually value things more that we've had to pay for. And when we're given free things that we don't necessarily value, we are more likely to keep them just in case. And that, of course, clutters more than just space, because it clutters your brain and it clutters your whole life. And it goes back to the last point where you end up with all the clothes in your wardrobe thinking that you'll make a decision but haven't made a decision, whereas actually your decision is already no, and quite obviously no, but your brain is not in gear on it. So free can be expensive if it costs you not only your personal style and the idea of identity that I was mentioning a little bit before, but if it also costs you clarity. And for many of you, you will have worked really hard to create a style for yourself, or to be in the process of creating a style for yourself. So sometimes free is amazing. Sometimes free is such a gift. I mean, a couple of the items that I was given that unfortunately I can't wear, the shoes and the boots, are in one size too small for me. And there are boots in there that are the most gorgeous suede, a beige suede and a black suede, and they haven't been worn. Now that free is a real gift to somebody who is a size smaller than me, but unfortunately it's not me. But that is a great gift. But beware the psychology of free, because it can be expensive and it can cost you clarity of mind. And of course, associated with this idea of free, there is a difference between a gift and a dump. And that's what we have already been discussing in terms of, people absolving themselves of responsibility and transferring their responsibility to you. Because a gift is chosen for you and an offload is handed to you. And so, as we've discussed, it's totally okay to set boundaries when a friend's generosity crosses into outsourcing her own decluttering. So have a phrase in mind if you don't want to accept someone's declutter of what you're going to say when a very well-meaning friend comes round for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a glass of wine in the evening with bags of clothes that she is not dealing with, and she just thinks that she'll get rid of on you. So you can be very bold and you can say something like, "Thank you so much. It's so kind of you to think of me, but I'm really refining my style right now and being very selective. But why don't you just take them down to the charity shop? I mean, that they would really welcome your lovely clothes with open arms." That kind of thing. But if you are a people pleaser, like I am inclined to be, then you're going to have those phrases ready, and you're going to have to be brave and say them, rather than, "Oh, how kind, thank you so much." And then she will say to you, "Of course, if there's anything that you don't want, feel free to bin it." And that actually is her responsibility. And the other thing that I want to say in this regard is, if it's just a couple of items of clothing, then you can just sort of try them on, see how they look with other regular items, and then decide whether you want to keep them, and then you're good to go either way. With me, I was given quite a lot, like bags of clothing, and I've been through all of the bags and I've tried everything on and I have put everything away. Now I have had to create extra storage space. So this goes back to the idea that I probably won't keep everything, because I'm not sure that I want to allocate that much storage space to my clothes, because am I really going to wear all of that? I mean, some things have come at just a brilliant moment, like there was a whole load of beach wear, and we're coming into the summer season, and now I've got a whole new semi wardrobe of clothes to wear around the pool, all of which have just never been worn before, which is just amazing. But if I were you and I were given more than a couple of items of clothing, then you need to, as soon as you can, try those items on and style them for yourself, with shoes, accessories. Make sure your hair is polished and brushed, and then just ask yourself, would you buy this if you're in a shop? If you were shopping today, would you buy that item? And if not, then you have to let it go. Now, something that is quite interesting, and I really would like to leave you with this thought today, is that I've been talking all this time about someone else giving you clothes. Would you like this? And you making that decision as to whether you want those clothes or that item of clothing. But I want to challenge you and ask yourself what you have actually bought for yourself that you might not be making a decision about. It might have been a bad purchase and you don't want to acknowledge that it was expensive and you haven't worn it, or that you bought it in the wrong size and you wish you'd bought it in a size smaller or larger, but you don't wear it because it's just not quite right. What items in your wardrobe have you got that essentially you're treating as if you've absolved yourself of responsibility for them, as if you've transferred the responsibility of your wardrobe elsewhere into the ether somewhere, and you're not taking responsibility for yourself, for your own clothes? Because as I said earlier, you can only wear a certain number of items, a certain number of outfits every day, and there are only 365 days in the year. So you've got a limited amount of time to wear all your clothes. So what have you got in your wardrobe that you're not taking responsibility for? And that actually all the things that I've said in this podcast along the lines of, do you accept it? Do you turn it down graciously? Do you try it on and decide whether you're going to keep it? All of those things. Are you in a situation with your own wardrobe where you're effectively dumping clothes on yourself and then going on your merry way, but you're not actually dealing with the things you should be dealing with? And if that's the case, then you need to go back to your wardrobe, and it doesn't take long just to go through. I mean, you could go through your wardrobe in no more than half an hour and pull things out that you don't wear, that you haven't worn, that you're never going to wear again. And then it's up to you what you do with them. If they're in really good quality and they're in good shape and you've hardly worn them, then I think that you can regift them, and that's not absolving yourself of responsibility, because if you give them to somebody who you think would genuinely wear them. The other thing you can do is go around. I mean, a friend has done this to me before, and she said, would you like this? And she is from a family of 4 siblings. And it's 3 girls and a boy, and the girls all have amazing taste and great wardrobes. So sometimes she comes around to me and she says, I've got some things for you if you'd like them. And then she takes them away if I don't. Would you like this? Would you like this? And then if I just say, actually, no, I don't think I'll wear this, she takes them away. She doesn't leave them with me, which is brilliant. So you can do that to a friend. You could also have like a very informal clothes swap and just say to some friends, do you fancy meeting for coffee? I've got some items to get rid of. If you've got any items to get rid of, bring them along. And either you can have a laugh at each other's taste over a cup of coffee, or you can swap clothes and then you've got some new items. But they're not items that you wouldn't take. Don't take things because you're people pleasing. In fact, if you're a people pleaser, it might not be a good idea to have the coffee, because you might end up with all the pieces because you feel like you should be people pleasing. So that might not be the best idea for you. But if you are definitive in your decisions, then I think the coffee is perfectly healthy. So, amazing women, that is what I've got for you today. This is my podcast on would you like this? Such an innocent little phrase, but of course it carries a huge amount of responsibility and the potential of wardrobe overload, which I do not want for you. And so feel free to turn people down, as I did for many years. No, thank you. Don't want that. No, thanks. Would you like this? No, thank you. It's so easy. I just got used to it. So I was actually so surprised to be in this situation where I got left with loads of bags. So don't be afraid to say no. It's totally fine. People don't take the offence that you think that they might. And then if things come your way that you do really like, make sure that you still apply that criteria, like the art gallery exhibition criteria. Is it going to sit well in your wardrobe? Is it going to enhance the other items in your wardrobe? Because remember, you can only wear a certain number of items. So there we go. Would you like this? I hope that wherever you are really well and having a good week. And I look forward to seeing you same place, same time next week. Bye for now. Oh, I've just realised, by the way, I think it's Marianne Williams or Williamson who said the quote, not Wilson. I'm thinking Williamson.